So I'm going to move on to the switches in this video. And there's a number of things to be said about them that we'll cover here as I sort them. Again, these are covered in the manual. That doesn't really want to open, does it? Well, such is life. Just tear it open. This looks like it might be kind of the most fiddly part of this. The glue that I exposed on the bag has just made a huge mess here. This looks like it'll probably be the most fiddly part. Of course, the LEDs are pretty fiddly. All of the polarized components, of course, you got to pay attention to. So the as you can see, there's two colors of switches. There's the purple ones and there's the red ones, and I'm going to start by sorting them just into colors. And the single white one, which is the lamp test switch. There's two different kinds of switches in here as well, and we'll talk about those. So there's toggle switches. Let's see if this is a toggle. That one doesn't even want to move. There it is. That's a toggle switch. By toggle, it means you can change the position and it'll stay there on its own. So that is a toggle switch. It toggles between one of two positions. The data bits typically use these when they're installed on the case. Down, as I have it here, would be a 0 and up would be a 1. So these are going to toggle up. So we have toggle switches, and we have temporary switches. So if you watch this one, it'll spring back on its own. So that's a temporary switch. You don't want to mix the temporary and toggles. The temporaries kind of go over on the control side of the panel, and some of them are mounted so that the action is up, and some of them are mounted so the action are down. So you got to keep that in mind as well as you install these. There's lots of details. Set the white one. So actually I want to test each one. So this is the lamp test. It feels good. Got no problem with that. There's only the one white one, so it's going to get captured in a box separately. There's a toggle again. The action feels nice and smooth. This first one was really stiff when I first toggled it, and then it loosened up and is fine. The attention to detail that he went to actually having the custom toggles made is just astonishing to me. It's another attention to detail that is just really beautiful. And you don't want to try to force it the wrong direction. That's definitely a toggle again. That's definitely a toggle again. And that's certainly a toggle again, and the action feels really good on it. That again is a toggle. Toggle. Whereas if you got an LED in backwards or burned one up soldering, it would be a relatively simple matter to remove it. Because of the amount of solder that's going to go onto the lugs and the work, it would be a lot more work to pull out a switch that you had broken, overheated during soldering. That's a momentary. Notice that it springs back. Toggle again. Obviously a toggle, it's already toggled. Again, the action feels really nice on it. Toggle. Onto the red ones. Feels really good. Toggle. 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 I'm also listening to the click as I actuate the switch. It sounds nice and positive. It feels nice and positive. The switch, it isn't mushy. There's a temporary or a momentary contact. Red one. Again, toggle. These little switch handles are gorgeous. He's done a really incredible job putting this together. Feels really good. This one is really stiff. We'll come back to that one. Not happy with that. Red toggle. Red momentary. It's springing back on its own. Red toggle. Now that one sounds different than the other momentaries. Oh, I guess it really doesn't. Yeah, they're really similar sounding. They have a little click to them that's much more subtle than the snap on these. Hopefully you can hear that snap on camera there versus the momentary. If it can be dropped, I will drop it. I'm going to get right up against the mic. The momentary sound is very subtle. So why is this one so unhappy? That's rather disappointing. Don't know if I've got a defective switch. Maybe something kind of jammed up inside of there, but this one definitely isn't going to click on its own. So I'm going to gently release the plastic by bending up the two ears. There's two little studs that come up through, little studs in the plastic, and of course it keeps clicking back down to its natural resting position. See if I can keep enough pressure to release the switch. It's going to come off, I think. That side's finally loose. I may end up bending these little ears up out of the way a bit. That's disappointing. Let's see if I can pry him out of there. Really doesn't want to release. Come on. You can come loose. I don't want to damage it. Yeah, that switch internally is not healthy. It did loosen up after a couple of toggles. So before I go any further with it, I'm going to check it for continuity. Get leads in the meter up here. Sorry, the meter will be off camera. Assuming I can find what I'm looking for here. I may not be able to do this the way I want to do it. I don't think we're going to use that meter. We'll instead use this little set of leads. I can go ahead and use that meter. I've got some alligator clips here. Now I'm guessing the center pin on this momentary is common. There's no guarantee of that. You see, I'm kind of guessing. Right now, well, it's usually labeled on them actually. On to the outsides, which tends to, oh, let me put the meter actually in continuity. And that's the leads touching. And then this one should be exactly opposite, and that's exactly what I'd expect. So the switch itself is working. Why it was so stiff up front, I don't know. Now the question becomes, because the hole that the shaft goes into is offset, does it matter which way it goes on? And I will look at another one here, see if I can determine. Okay, I can see the hole the shaft goes into is up towards this end, the same as this one. And the markings on the switch body are this way. So let's snap it back down in there if we can, without hopefully damaging it. And it's actually okay now. I'm going to have to, I hate to say it, pry it out of there again. I should have resprung those ears, because I can feel the toggle handle is really loose. And that's because I bent those ears out. You can see they're flared out slightly. So let me bring them back in where they're square. Assuming they're square. Let's see if I can actually get it to push in and not break it now. Nope, a little too tight. There it is. So why that one switch was jammed up, I don't know. It's possible. No, it's not possible that the bat handle was on the wrong direction. It feels absolutely fine. I'm going to put a little bit of, if I can, pressure down there just to kind of bend that little metal clip a little more square. Same on this one, if it'll bend in a little bit. That one feels fine now. And there's slop in the one I didn't take apart as well, which is fine. You would expect that. It's no worse. So I don't think I damaged the little bat handle in any way. Those feel fine. The red toggles are in here. Why, and that is a good example of why you sort and test the switches ahead of time. I could conceivably go through and test every switch to make sure it works. That would be a fair amount of work, and I think I'm going to assume they're fine. The next thing that was mentioned, let me put the other glasses back on, was looking at the epoxy where the pins are epoxied in, just to see if any of them has excessive epoxy on it, which means it would sit a little higher than the others. And I'm not seeing anything here. There's definitely slightly different heights in the epoxy where the metal pins are epoxied into the package. Nobody has a crazy amount on him. Those all seem fine. Confirmed that they're all toggle switches and not momentary. Epoxy doesn't look too high. Definitely momentary. Definitely momentary. I've done a really nice job molding these. They're nice and clean. The place where the spur was is well hidden inside. You'll never see it in the final assembly. So I'm a little bit curious about, these should just float in there. It looks like the holes on the PCB. Yeah, goes in. There's plenty of slop. Previous kit I built with toggle switches, it was the Altair 8800. The switches went in super tight, and it was really hard to kind of move them around, pull them up and down to get them positioned where they were circular holes. These are oblong holes, and they float in pretty well. That's pretty nice. And finally, these three. Epoxy looks fine. He's a momentary. Epoxy looks fine. The epoxy looks fine. So we've got the one white switch separated out from the rest. We've got toggle, momentary, toggle, momentary. We've got the little panel here that he provided to help you align the switches. It needs to be cut apart. It's got writing on it, so you can see toggle red here on the end, push up, toggle purple, push up, toggle purple, purple, red, 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 purple, purple. The momentary white is here. It pushes up. So what does he mean by push up? Let's kind of hang a switch in here and show what he means. So with the momentary white, it's actually going to go down into this position. And by push up, it literally means you're going to put, well, you're going to push up. Now some of these are labeled push down, like that momentary red there. So the fact that he's coded all these is really nice. It's a really nice attention to detail. And as I followed the instructions to do this, you start with the two ends out here. So there's a toggle purple that goes up, and there's a push down toggle purple on the other end down here. So pushes down, it's momentary, and that says toggle. I've got the wrong switch there. Push down toggle purple. So I immediately tried to put the wrong kind of switch in. So this one down, this one up. We're not going to use this at this time. We're now going to notice that I'm not on the absolute edge out here. I'm one switch in, which will get the Little alignment bar captured. And I can see this is going to be really finicky to get in, just because the leads aren't quite square. Try it again. Don't want to push this too hard. There it is. So he was a little bit finicky to get in. And he is set to toggle up. The second one in from this end is a push down toggle purple. So he's going to go this orientation. Push down, toggle purple. Push up, toggle purple. So I would highly recommend not holding the purple part and pushing the switch in. Do your best to actually be on the switch body. That's going to be a little difficult to do here. Yeah, I'm flexing those leads in just a tiny bit would help here. I didn't like the sound of that. Sounded like the epoxy may have tried to crack a little bit there that seals the switch. Wow. This is certainly going to be the most fidgety part of this assembly. Another toggle purple up. Now it's really difficult to get a hold of the switch body. Part of me is tempted to pull all the bat handles off. I really don't want to do that. Don't want to break one. You know, something like 2,000 people have put these together, so it is possible to do. Up, up, up. Now we're going to move on to toggle red. Again, up. Oh, that one dropped right in. Toggle up red. This one's going to be a little bit finicky. Toggle up red. I'm sure I'm not doing this in the order he called out. Well, some of these are just really... I can see where the leads are just slightly splayed. I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in the two outer leads. To see if that'll help it go in, and it did. So let's come over to this end. We have a push down toggle red. Let me just go ahead and just tiny bit flex those in. We've got toggle down tiny red over here. We've got push down momentary purple. And he dropped right in. Push up momentary red. push down momentary purple, which would be this last one right here. The push down momentary red. Wow, it's really starting to look like an 1170 front panel. The colors are very familiar. Momentary white. And it's under the push up. So you lift for lamp test. And toggle purple goes up. Yeah, some of these just drop right in nice and easy, and some are rather finicky. It's going to be interesting is raising this little alignment holder across all these, but we'll tackle that when we get there. Toggle purple up. Toggle purple up. Toggle red up. This one's being stubborn. I'll just bend these pins ever so slightly in. See if that helps it drop in place. It does. Starting to think it might be time to start to kind of finagle this alignment bar kind of up into the bodies. If I got something I can kind of get in there to gently kind of pry up with. There it came up. Without pulling all the switches loose. Ah, come on, it's got a little piece of wire stuck on the end of it. Just see if I can get that to lift up. There it goes. Okay. I'm going to start that from this end as well. Another piece of wire stuck to it. Just to kind of work it up into place. Should be a toggle red. This is a momentary. Okay, the momentary red's out there on the end. That's why there seemed to be an extra one. Toggle red up. This might be a little harder to do with that alignment. Well, maybe I shouldn't have pried it up this early. I'm just trying to bend the leads a little bit without actually flexing them at the body. That's better. That's going to go down in. One more toggle red up. Go back to toggle purples up. You may be noticing here these are in groups of three red, 3 purple, 3 red, 3 purple. That's because this front panel does work in octal rather than hexadecimal. There are times when octal actually makes a lot of sense, although a lot of people will say that's bullshit. The original 8080 instruction set actually, some of the instructions that made sense in octal, because there'd be 2 groups of 3 bits that would be your from and to register or memory or whatever. But those days are long gone. Well, you really do not want to go in there. There you go, and that one fell out. Hopefully I can get it back in. Yep. Some are nice and loose, some are really tight to work in. But that's okay. Another toggle purple up. Now it's really starting to look like something now with the, there's a group of purples, so there'll be 3 more red. Go in up, drop right in. Red that goes in up. And I can see that they're a little bit wide. I'm not flexing these very much. Another toggle up red. Same thing, just a little tiny bit of flex. And these should help that drop in. There should be 3 more toggle up purples. That one dropped right in. Toggle up purple. That one dropped right in. That's nice. These ones right here are just dropping in. That's helpful. This is the one, of course, that's going to be, nope, went right in. Tried to make a liar out of me. So we've got our most significant, that's a temp red toggle, so it's the most significant bit out here on the end. That one dropped right in. And we have a push down red down here on this end. And we have successfully got most of those. In place. I've got one here that's just being stubborn. There it goes. Trying to get that alignment bar. Did I just drop a switch off? I sure did. And of course it's on the floor and it's vanished the second it hit the floor. I don't want to roll my chair around and roll over it and break it. That would make me very sad. So let me, there it is, take a peek here. I felt it hit my pant leg on the way to the floor. So this is push down momentary red. So I'm now going to confirm these. Push down momentary red. I actually can't with the push down momentary red, push down purple toggle, push down red toggle, push down momentary purple, push up momentary red, push down momentary purple, push down momentary red, push up white, and these should all be push up to toggle, and I've got that little alignment bar a little too high. It's keeping them from up, 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 up. So all the push-up toggles are in the push-up position. Get them all centered again so that alignment PCB will slide up over them again. Push up for lamp test, and I'm going to look at these one more time just because I'm paranoid. Push down red, toggle purple down, toggle red down, push down momentary purple, push up momentary red, push down momentary purple, push down momentary red. I'm convinced I've got those all on correctly. This alignment bar then nestles along there like that. Pretty nice approach he's taken here to doing this. It's a little fiddly, but that's not unexpected. It's a lot of switches to get aligned. Odds are the alignment's never going to be perfect. You know, he goes through a whole process there to align them, and then basically says in the manual, I just kind of put it all together, put the wire ties on, and solder, and done. They're not all down the same depth in the PCB. Cinching up the wire ties will help with that. Oh, you get one pushed down, another one pops up. As he said, take a break at this point, and I am definitely going to take a break. This is very fiddly, but really nice. I like how that's coming together. The white one isn't aligned real well, and I don't know why. Or maybe it's this red one isn't aligned very well. It's that red one next to it isn't aligned very well. Well, this needs to be wire tied, and then they need to be finagled until I'm happy they're all seated well. But I'm going to call that probably the part one of this video. It's probably long enough now that we'll move the soldering on to a second video. But definitely nice progress. Really happy with that. It's looking really good. And I'll see you in the next video.